Travis Kelce bomb.
Oh, wait, we're doing a countdown, so that means we're already hot. That's cool.
This is glorious. All right, here we go. You guys missed it. One Eric Lindquist, fresh off of his trip to and from Italia, was making some obscene references to some talk show hostesses. Can we still call them talk show hostesses?
I don't know, but it's Oprah. Oprah is a beautiful human being. And if she wanted to frequent my place, that'd be okay. But she's a billionaire, so I doubt that's going to happen.
It may not happen. Stedman may have other things to say, as may Gail. I don't know who wears the pants in that triumvirate. But anyway,
I'll take a guess.
All right. So we learned what was not correct today. Raheem Mostert.
Oh,
bad.
Oh.
I played him in cash.
First of all, you can't.
Played him in cash, played Robinson in cash, and Survivor pooled my way to Jacksonville. Yes.
You Survivor pooled who?
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So you had a fun day.
It's not good. I have 3 Survivor teams.
You had Detroit also. That was the craziest Survivor pool sweat I've ever had in my life. I can't believe that San Francisco was as inept in the second half as they were.
Yeah, I can't believe that they almost. I have had 3 Survivor pool lines. I won it last year. Hat tip to Ben Rosso, who helped me out. You were also there helping me out down the stretch there as well, hedging a few things with some hedge life on the betting. But I ended up clearing just shy of $2,000 on a $30 investment. So that's pretty good. I convinced the other boomers in the league to chop it and then play for the last 1,500. And I ended up winning it, so that worked out. Everybody guaranteed themselves 500, and then I won 1,500 on top of it. So
you are a stud. You're a stud.
It's good times. Tonight we're sponsored by PrizePicks. We're going to talk about them, not to fear. But if you use the promo code Awesemo, they will match you up to your first $100. That is the most important thing that we can tell you today, right there. $100 right off the bat. That's at PrizePicks. And use the promo code Awesemo. We'll get into them. We're going to throw out a little shout out there to our friends at Yahoo. They are dabbling now in single game contests. PrizePicks launched today, same day cards. So I'm going to go look and see what we have for tonight's games. But you could do same game cards with them. That's impressive because F it. What the UID. EGA or whatever it is, we don't worry about that anymore now that sports wagering is legalized in so many places. It just doesn't matter. What do we got though, Eric? You've got Eric's a little distracted right now. He's watching his winnings go up and down by $10,000 at a time.
Yeah.
I'm watching mine go up by $100 at a time. I'm either going to lose about $150 or I'm going to make about $50. I won 1/3 of my head-to-heads today. Not good.
Yeah, I was just winning 48K, and then I was down to 10K with that Tyreek Hill bomb, and then Travis Kelce got the bomb, which is really good for me because I have almost no Tyreek Hill, but I have all the Travis Kelce. It's a pretty bipolar deal, but I mean, this is kind of what week 1 is. And,
yes.
I took some strong stands with, I did the Live Before Lock show and was talking about Tyler Lockett was a guy that I was heavily invested in. Corey Davis was my favorite wide receiver play, period. Almost 100. That would have been nice to get over the 100 there, but 2 touchdowns, 96 and 2 touchdowns. You'll take that every time at 4,900. And, it's just looking really nice. And I'm just kind of hoping to ride this momentum. It's going to be a profitable first week, which is nice because I can remember, I don't know, the last 5 week ones I've had in a row that just haven't been profitable. Looking forward to this and looking forward to what I think will be a really fun showdown slate out here in LA.
All right. If you guys go to the Awesemo.com homepage, right now we have 5 different articles for the Monday night or Sunday night football game. We have 3 different ones covering DFS, and we have 2 covering prop wagers and in-game wagers, or I guess sides is the proper terminology here. So we've got you covered with all sorts of free content here at Awesemo. The player projections for NFL were our free item today as well. They went in free across from yesterday. So if you guys had fun with those games that already happened, we got 1 left to go. You can also jump in there on the primetime slate. The 2-gamer is available on all the sites, it looks like, for Sunday Night Football through Monday Night Football. For those of you buried under a rock, this will be the first time in I think 12 years, I'm going to say, that it's not a Monday night doubleheader for opening week. I'm not sure the reasoning for that, but I guess that's one of the trade-offs to get 18 weeks of football. I'm not sure how that works, but we're going to jump in on tonight's action. Is there anything to worry about from an injury standpoint? The only thing that I saw was Mooney for the Bears, who's been dealing with a back issue. However, he was a full participant in Friday's practice. I think if they are going to clear that questionable tag, they'll do it right now.
He's active.
Okay, but he is active. That I do know.
He's active. The big news for me and for this entire showdown in terms of the way that I'm building is Brashad Perriman is inactive. So you're basically looking at the Chicago Bears. And I mean, we're going to start from the top and work our way down. And I think you always do a good job of kind of leading this off. But the big question for me is kind of who's going to be the Bears wide receiver 3, because I think you're going to get a lot of Allen Robinson the second. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of Mooney, but then it becomes Goodwin. And we were looking at Perriman, and we were also looking at all the way down at 200. There's a number of dudes that kind of exist down there, whether it's Van Jefferson 800, I guess. So sub 1,000, should I say. And then it just becomes kind of a little bit of a crapshoot. But knowing that Perriman's going to be out now at 1,200 over on DK, I think that gives us a little bit more clarity on this slate. And I feel a little bit better about my Beals not having to pick between all 3 of those wide receiver 3s we were looking at before, like Damiere Byrd and whomever else.
The interesting thing on the wide receiver 3s, will any passes be going their way? This feels like it's going to be a pretty consolidated line here, what do we call it? Receiver room, tight end room. I got a pass catcher room. Yeah, it's sort of like once you get past Robinson and probably Cole Kmet would be the two leads there. So let's hit it off here. We'll start in with quarterback. We got a bunch of people here, almost 500 people watching. Please do hit that like button. We would appreciate it. If you guys subscribe to the Awesemo YouTube channel, we have 3 total channels. We have the Awesemo Odds channel, the Awesemo YouTube channel, and the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. We put forth almost 10 hours of video content today. 8.5 of that was live. At one point, we were doing shows simultaneously on 2 channels, and we started live content this morning at 8 a.m. That's what you're going to get all football season from us. It's pretty awesome. Yesterday, we just went hog wild as well. We had 8 hours of live DFS content split between college football, baseball. We had 3 different NFL shows and 2 different baseball shows, and MMA will be joining the fold next week. MMA was off this week. It's off the charts, Eric. So how long is Andy Dalton going to quarterback? Is it quarters? Is it half? Is it weeks? What are we thinking? And even Sean McVay's like, you know what? We're preparing to defend Mr. Justin Fields. I called him 3. I wrote Fields and I gave him 3 different first names in my article today. I've written too many articles and been on too many shows after a 3-week vacation. Unfair. What do you think at Chicago quarterback tonight?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are certain showdowns where I always go back to the example of Baker Mayfield, his rookie year, where you had Tyrod Taylor there. Tyrod Taylor gets hurt, and then you insert Baker Mayfield, and he ends up winning everything because he ends up having a massive second half, and that's just kind of the way that the cookie crumbled that day. I don't really think that we need to be looking at Justin Fields here in this spot. I bet that there's a package or 2. I bet that there's going to be a play or 2 that he comes in for. And if it ends up being something where he scores in that spot, so be it. I very highly doubt it. $9K for him. There's just such an opportunity cost of rostering him or trying to get super weird with something that isn't playing Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton's the one who's 9,800 over on DK. And then you have Justin Fields at 6K. I mean, if you want to say Justin Fields is going to come in at the goal line, run an option or do whatever else, sure, you could probably find some kind of a reason to get there. I just still think he's going to garner a tiny bit of ownership, whereas like there's other slates where those quarterbacks just don't. I don't think I'm going to touch him whatsoever. I mean, it's going to be very clear cut for me. I'm going to play Matt Stafford. I'm going to play Andy Dalton. I'm not going to try to find any reason to go to a backup here. It's not that kind of a slate for me.
Yeah. And I think more where I was going on that is I don't think he's going to play enough that it makes a difference, but the fear is that it could hamstring Andy Dalton enough that how much do you trust him? The specter of, 2 or 3 drives maybe, or some red zone stuff there for Fields, and all of a sudden we have a problem with Andy Dalton, who's not the most dynamic guy, more of a game manager, no longer really the red rifle at all.
Or like the red BB gun.
The Red Rider. Careful, Eric. You'll shoot your eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Running backs. We've got an interesting. We learned that Mr. Montgomery has the ability to perform reasonably well in the receiving game. We learned that last year after Tariq Cohen went down. Hey, Tariq Cohen is out now. We have Damian Williams, who is making an appearance or will be making an appearance at some point. Remember, he opted out of last season for health concerns with the pandemic. We last saw him on a nice stretch run and into the postseason for the Kansas City Chiefs. We do want to remember, one, not only has he had, it's been 2 years since he played, or I guess a year and a half since he played a football game, but he also, early in his career with Miami, wasn't really making anybody's socks roll up and down. I do remember that's what one of our hosts used to say a lot. I don't remember anything about his gold tooth, but I remember socks rolling up and down. What are we doing here with Mr. Montgomery and Mr. Williams?
So David Montgomery, over the course of 2020, played 80.2% of the snaps. He had the fourth most rushing attempts amongst the entire league at 204. That's a large number. We're looking at a guy that I think is going to be a workhorse back, excuse me. But Damian Williams is definitely more competent than what I think Tariq Cohen is, and Tariq Cohen on the PUP list. Looking at Damian Williams here in this spot, I think that there is some, and we're starting to see a little bit of ownership going his direction. More than what I thought. 13.1% is what we have right now over on the old Fantasy Cruncher here in the Awesemo projections. I think that's about appropriate for him. I was hoping that it was going to be a little bit lower just because 2,200, I'm able to play him, and there's definitely some pass catching ability we saw in Miami. We saw it with the Chiefs as well, pre-2020 before he opted out. I definitely like Damian Williams. I definitely like David Montgomery. His role is gigantic. And, if you're looking at like a Chubb situation, Chubb and Hunt and some of these splits, that's kind of the prime example for me. Chubb plays over 65% of the snaps, and you're seeing even more going David Montgomery's place. But Damian Williams, like if you get in a negative game script, I got to think that he's going to be in a little bit of a solid spot. For me, it really comes down to how I am building some of these tournament lineups. I want Damian Williams in some of these Rams heavy lineups, and I want a little bit more David Montgomery, where I just kind of think that they're going to take the air out of the ball. It's PPR on DK, and we're going to play a lot of Kupp. We're going to play a lot of Woods, and I don't think there's going to be any way around that. But David Montgomery is just an iffy little spot, just because his overall ability. It's been questioned here for a while. He's an Iowa State grad. Everybody knows that I'm an Iowa State dude, and I try to stand by these guys, but it's hard to make a case for him beyond just the fact that he gets a ton of volume. So I get it, but I'm going to try to find some paths onto Damian Williams in these builds.
All right, so let's continue moving on through this. We're going to go up till kickoff. We're going to have plenty of time, but we've got so many different formats and so many different things we're going to comment on here. We want to get through the analysis now, and then we'll see how we can apply it to the different sites. Of course, we're going to talk about PrizePicks. They're a sponsor of the show. You can jump on over there at prizepicks.com. Basically, what it is you make your own parlay card. They have fantasy point questions. They also have statistical questions, but you can do cross sports, cross styles, and same game cards. You can put 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions together. Earlier today, they gave us a gimme. They said as long as Pat Mahomes gets half of a yard, you can get a win on that. You could utilize him in any of those combinations. The more you choose on your card, the better the payout, the better the multiplier on that. We're also going to talk a little bit about Yahoo. They're dabbling in single game content. And then, of course, FanDuel and DraftKings. The interesting thing, if you're on DraftKings and you're trying to utilize Fantasy Cruncher, DK did something that they have not done for several years. They changed the salaries for the Sunday and Monday night players for that standalone primetime 2-game set as compared to what it was on the Thursday through Monday and the Sunday through Monday games. Fantasy Cruncher has put at the top of their page, they're giving you a little explanation on the workaround for that. I'm going to try that live on air myself behind the scenes when Eric is talking, but basically you create a column, you upload the correct salaries, and you can set a rule within Fantasy Cruncher to utilize that instead of the other salaries. Check that out. You'll be able to do that. They posted the instructions at the top of their page, but for anybody that's starting to scratch their head and wonder what the heck's going on, everybody's going to be plus or minus a couple $100. So just know it's not broken. They couldn't get the workaround in time. DK didn't give anybody a heads up on their API, and they kind of mucked things up for how things were set up. So that's what happened there. But let's talk about the wide receivers here. Sort of mentioned Allen Robinson. He's amazing. Too bad he has to wait until Justin Fields gets on the into the game for him to have a good/decent quarterback. He's going to be working with Andy Dalton. We mentioned a little bit about Darnell Mooney. His game, the questionable tag next to his name probably keeps a few people away. Again, he was a full participant in practice, just dealing with the sore back. So those are kind of your two top options. Brashad Perryman, no surprise that he's inactive. He was a late cut there by Detroit, picked up by Chicago. We may or may not see him unless somebody gets dinged up for probably the first couple of weeks of the season is just my guess. He had reportedly one of the worst off seasons ever, considering they were willing to cut him after giving him a 2-year guaranteed contract and I don't know, it's like $1.5 million or $2 million, whatever. But just keep that filed away in the back of your mind. So you're going to be looking at Damiere Byrd and Marquise Goodwin. Yikes. Those names drop off pretty quickly. Let's throw in Cole Kmet and Jimmy, the ancient one, Graham. How are you feeling about these pass catchers here?
So yeah, Mooney being the wide receiver too. I'm Allen Robinson. I can't really say anything other than he's fantastic. And being the second most expensive player, I think, on the DK slate is pretty interesting. Looking at his captain ownership right now for Allen Robinson, I mean, he's the second highest owned captain at 11.7%. It's PPR. I really don't care. I mean, I got to expect it regardless of Andy Dalton, whomever was going to be starting here. He was going to get peppered going forward. And I think that that's what we're going to see here. But for me, just thinking about it, having the Q tag next to Mooney here, 3.7% for a guy that just in general, we know the kind of threat that he can be. 11.6 ADOT last season. So average depth of target. He's somebody that gets a lot of air yards. Shout out Chris Baggs there in that spot. I think we got to be looking at a little bit of Mooney in some of these like big time shootout type builds. Mooney going to a captain slot, playing along Andy Dalton, playing along Montgomery or Allen Robinson, however you want to put it together. I don't know. It feels like a pretty good contrarian build to be going on this slate. Darnell Mooney, again, 23.9% air yard share from this Chicago Bears team. And there's really no question that he's going to be the number 2. He's just going to be the number 2 behind Allen Robinson. I can't expect that it would be anybody else. Marquise Goodwin, more of an Olympic sprinter than he is a football player. Damiere Byrd as well. And then, as you said, Brashad Perriman being inactive. So I'm going to be getting to a lot of Mooney, and I think you should be too, just because I don't think the ownership will get there.
All right. Chat wants to know, how are you hanging on? Is there just everything's final now? How are you doing? Wait, bated breath with stat corrections?
We'll find out. I mean, I literally pulled it off because I'm trying to be a professional and not look. I just know that the KC game went final, which is probably not good for me.
That was the last game.
Yeah. Is that so everything's done?
Yep.
Let's pull it up. I'm literally on the DK lineups page. Okay. It was a good day. I'm not going to tell you the exact number, but it's 5 digits. So I'm happy with it.
Nice. $17,777.
11,525 with my 4K in. So I am like 7K. It's a fine day.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
That would be, I'm looking to lose about $150. I will say I was one of the handful of people doing MLB content out there today. Continuing my week 1 and week 2, good luck on MLB when they shrink the prize pools. Only 37% ROI today. I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Good. Hang on. Yesterday I got back from Italy, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play some MLB. I hadn't played DFS for a week, and I played in like the 150 on DK. And so in the early slate, I was like in 4th with like, I don't know, with like a tiny bit of PMR or whatever. And Alex Baker didn't realize that his late swap, that he had Newman in a shortstop, and ends up passing me with a pinch hit double RBI. So get 7 points out of it. And I'm like, dude, the rich get richer. How good can you run? And I suppose he gave me a job, so I can't be too upset. But good old Alex Baker passing me with the pinch hit double RBI. That's how it works.
Well, there's a reason we work for Awesemo.com and not EricLindquist.com or TeamEric.com. I'll put myself in there as well. All right. So let's circle back here. Nothing really exciting there on the pass catchers. Getting us over here to the defense. The one thing we do want to point out is the Rams defense, pretty good. Andy Dalton going to be more of a game manager. I still think, we need to go the other way. Matt Stafford will be making his debut here for the Rams. We know he's stepping into a nice situation with a pretty good group of skill set players that have all been in the system for a couple of years. We have Sean McVay as coach. He's going to be a major step up from Jared Goff. In the long term, over the longer horizon, who knows what's going to happen today, as we learned in the NFL, any given Sunday, as they say. But he is someone that is he's relatively neutral when it comes to sacks and interceptions. So really nothing to see there with the Bears. They are 4,400 on DK, so they are in play if you're needing a little bit of a salary relief on the showdown game there. But outside of that, nothing too exciting. Let's move over here to the we'll run down the LA side, and then we'll talk some PrizePicks and get into some of the other sites and formats. Sort of let off there with Stafford. How are you feeling about this? He's got to be excited. They clearly wanted him on the squad. A lot of pressure on him. Not the easiest of the matchups going against the monsters of the Midway here. I don't know that anybody calls them that anymore, but that's what I'm going to go with. What are you feeling here about Mr. Matt Stafford?
Yeah, so looking at our projections right now, Matt Stafford, nearly 20 points, so 19.6 over on the old DK. David Montgomery next at 17.34. I find that kind of fascinating that he's projected a little bit higher than what Allen Robinson is in this spot. But either way, I mean, if you can make Matt Stafford work, and I think you can on this slate, it shouldn't be too difficult to be able to fit him at the captain spot. I think he becomes the cash route. I kind of want to maybe go a little bit lighter on him just because, 18%, he's the highest owned captain here in this spot. I would like to know the Josh Engelman, the number that he would have for some of his sims here in this spot, but I got to be feeling like PPR wise, I want to go to some of these other cheap options and kind of, he feels a little bit more like a flex play for me. Just some of my builds look a little bit more well-balanced. I like some of the builds that I have where I'm not going to Stafford in captain. And one of the things that I've just noticed over the long haul of playing a lot of Showdown is that whomever you end up playing, who's the most expensive player on the slate, your builds kind of look similar to everybody else. So I try to find some more exposure in large field GPPs to players that are kind of further down the line, whether that for me is like a guy like Sony Michel, who I'm trying to make a thing today, a little bit more Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, guys that I just think have a lot of upside in a PPR kind of format. And then Matthew Stafford fitting in more at the flex allows me to leave a little bit of salary on the table and not be identical to kind of what everybody else is doing.
So let's go on to the running backs here because they are next. You did throw out Sony Michel there. So Cam Akers is obviously he had the ACL tear, so he is out. You've got they called Darrell Henderson. I wrote him down as Gerald Henderson because why not bring up NBA players from a gazillion years ago? I was just having a heck of a time in my articles today, and I had a full plot.
Dude, you write 5 million articles. If anybody's allowed to screw up an article or two
in 3 different sports,
I know. All I know is that I think I write a lot or I work a lot, and then like you always end up having the Yahoo stuff, or you have these other things that you end up posting in the Slack chat that everybody doesn't get to see. And I'm just like, dude, what is EMac doing at 4 a.m. on the East Coast? What a joke of a human being that he's able to get all of this crap done. So you're allowed, dude.
All right. So here's the fun. So Akers last season played 13 games. Now, of course, these are across the games. There were some where Henderson was the starter or the lead, and there were some where Akers was the lead. But in 13 games, Akers had 145 carries, 625 yards, and 2 touchdowns. In 15 games, Henderson had 138 carries, so 7 less, 624 yards, 1 less, and he rushed for 5 touchdowns, so 3 more. So kind of equal at that point. Of course, Akers was learning, but it's not like Henderson's a veteran by any stretch either. He's only been in the league for a couple of years. So I don't think it's a big deal to move to Henderson here. The interesting thing is Sony Michel. So I'm guessing Henderson gets the first crack at these things. We know that McVay runs a ton of single set backfield. So he runs 12 personnel and he runs 3 wide receiver sets. So if they're putting in Sony Michel, are they telegraphing run, or is he going to use that as a little bit of subterfuge and just be like, yeah, I'm going to put him back there, but we still have all our 3 receivers or our 2 tight ends, and we're just going to pass out of it. And I'm not going to worry about Michel being a receiver. So do we see Michel more just to screw with Mr. Nagy, who, you know, is kind of like an Urban Meyer, who is not an urban legend?
What? Oh my God.
Meyer, urban legend. Come on, the coaches, the shitty coaching tree.
I know what you were getting at there, but I'm just going to kind of move on.
Have another sip of wine.
I'm just enjoying myself. It's 4:41 out here on the West Coast. I had a great NFL day, and I'm trying to like help the people make money. And all of a sudden, we're getting dad joked to death. I absolutely love it. But you know what? Here's the thing. I am pretty sure that you don't make the trade that you do for Sony Michel unless you do not like what you have in Darrell Henderson. I'm pretty sure you don't draft Cam Akers unless you are pretty sure that you don't like what you have in Darrell Henderson. If you want to call him Gerald Henderson, it doesn't really matter to me. Whatever you want to call him. I just think Sony Michel is probably the guy that I'm going to try to make a thing on this slate. And here's kind of why. First of all, for years, we've been hearing beat writers from New England talking about how there is a pass game ability from Sony Michel. We saw it in the preseason. The guy was coming out of the backfield. I mean, it was Ramondre Stevenson. It was him. Damian Harris didn't really carry the ball much at all. But I'm telling you, Sony Michel has pass catching ability. Didn't show it at Georgia, didn't show it in the NFL. But when you have James White on your roster, one of the best, most revelatory pass catching running backs of our generation, sure, you're not going to get a lot of passing down work. So I think, one, Sony Michel gets more passing down work than what anybody is projecting him for around the industry. Right now, he's 4,800 on DraftKings. I'm going to be playing a ton of him in the captain. I think that in large field tournaments, it makes a lot of sense to try to make him a thing. I think I'm just fine playing him alongside some Matt Stafford as well. I don't think you need to like try to find some kind of a cute route where he's going to rush in for 2 or do something here. I just am pretty sure Sony Michel is a guy that they brought in to be a number 1, and I'm going to treat him a little bit as such. More so, like Darrell Henderson is getting a little bit of a jump here. And, you know, Darrell Henderson, looking at PFF as well, Darrell Henderson over the course of 2020, 11th ranked running back. So Darrell Henderson is not a bad running back by any means. And Cam Akers 22nd. I mean, these are all like individual metrics you can look at, just kind of see how productive they were in limited sample sizes. Damian Harris was 2nd over the course of last year. And if you had what's his face? If you had why am I blanking? Sony Michel. If you had him qualify, he would have been top 10 in terms of efficiency, but there's only 70 people that qualified amongst the terms for PFF over the course of last year. I just really think that you're looking at a spot. If you want to try to buy low on a guy, or you want to try to get invested in somebody who I think is near a 50-50 split with Darrell Henderson, I think Sony Michel is a really good candidate to try to get a little bit lower captain exposure to. I mean, as I'm looking at his captain ownership right now, it's 2.9%. I would much rather get to that than 7.4% of Darrell Henderson.
Okay. I am glad to hear you say that. I was trying to craft something in my article speaking somewhat to that, because you said it way more eloquently than I could have. So let's just not go there. But Sony Michel, I still think he has the skill set to do it. He just has never really had the opportunity. And hey, look at what Bill Belichick did today. Did the guys get the rushing touchdowns who we expected? No, that's just what Bill Belichick does. So that doesn't, while Sony Michel may not be awesome, he's probably adequate. You know who was also adequate? Montgomery, when he got the chances. So I think we'll have to see what happens on this one, but I do like that. Question here. If you are fading one, would you fade Sony Michel or would you say fade Henderson? This is on FanDuel.
Let me pull up their numbers here on FanDuel.
So half point PPR, of course, the touchdown weighs a little bit more.
Yeah.
For those watching, I know you know that, but for those watching.
Yeah, no, I was just more looking at what the numbers were here. I built like 5 over there. I'm playing, my 150 over on DK and kind of going that route. Darrell Henderson 12.5 there. I know that he was much cheaper. What was his number over Sony Michel 9,500? I would rather fade Darrell Henderson at 12.5. And again, Darrell Henderson, I think, is going to probably have some goal line looks. So that's kind of the scary thing, is figuring out what's going to happen, specifically goal line. And I just think it's closer to 50-50 that I'm willing to roll with a guy that I believe a little bit more in. And obviously the Rams went out of their way to trade for Sony Michel. Like, for me, it's like reading the tea leaves a little bit. We're looking at Sean McVay. We know he, however you want to judge him, I just think he's a really solid football coach. And I want to kind of be invested in the players that he believes in a little bit more. And if he goes out of his way to acquire somebody, and they didn't have to give up a lot to go get Sony Michel. And Sony Michel, I mean, it was a loaded backfield there in New England. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, who they went out and drafted. I'm just willing to invest more in Sony Michel, considering it seems like with the Cam Akers pick and with this trade that they just don't believe in him. So I'm going to be a little bit lower on Henderson than what the field is.
All right, let's continue along here. We've got some wide receivers here. We've got two of them. We have Josh Reynolds is in he's in Tennessee at this point. Mm-hmm. So the new guy sort of replacing him is going to be Van Jefferson. We also have Deshaun Jackson. Don't play Deshaun Jackson, but I did want to point this out. If we could get odds on Deshaun Jackson catching a long touchdown, injuring himself on it, and not playing for the rest of the season, I would wager on that.
Oh my God. So you're saying that, and it's like, for me, it's like, what is the worst that can happen as far as like Deshaun Jackson? Basically what you're hoping for is you're hoping for like a 50-yard bomb. It goes over the top, and they don't really have that threat in Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. So like, I don't mind. Maybe you're very against it. 11.7% ownership for a guy that you're basically saying, yo, if he doesn't catch a long touchdown pass, you're probably dead. I don't really care. Like, I'm happy to take a couple shots on him there. I don't want to go nuts with him by any means. I don't think you even need to like play him in a captain. I don't see him getting like two bombs over the top by any means, but like Matt Stafford plus Deshaun Jackson plus somebody else, like, I don't really have a crazy problem with it.
All right, we only have 150 likes. We have 1,000 people watching. Let's get up to 250 likes. I'll drop 10 $1 head-to-head showdown style into the DraftKings lobby if you get us up to 250 likes. So I have gone back and forth. I think that, in my opinion, for what Matt Stafford is going to do, the better receiver in this is going to be Cooper Kupp. However, we know that Sean McVay likes to get cute. Did you know over the last 3 seasons, which are 47 regular season games, Robert Woods has 60 carries for 427 yards and 4 touchdowns? Hey, Higbee also has a couple rushing touchdowns. That's something I meant to bring up when we were going to talk about Sony Michel, because the red zone, it's not going to be Matt Stafford stealing them. It's going to be pass catchers stealing them from the running backs. But, the coin flip there is Kupp and Woods. I think they're 1A and 1B. The pricing Kupp is $1,000 less on FanDuel. That makes it a little bit easier there. There's 200 yards separating, or $200 separating them. I wish there was 200 yards separating, $200 separating them on DK, I think is what it was, or very close to that. So I would kind of lean a little bit more towards Kupp there. Even though I'm talking about Woods here, I just think Kupp has a better chance at the PPR, but they're both going to be so consolidated here. Van Jefferson, sort of an afterthought. Deshaun Jackson, sort of an afterthought. Higbee, I'm okay with. Is there another tight end besides Higbee we can bring up?
So I'm just double checking some of the inactives. No. So Bryson Hopkins was a guy that I had circled there for a second. So Bryson Hopkins coming in for the Rams. I believe he was out of Purdue. Again, if I were Matt Gajewski, I'd be able to say that.
Matt Gajewski, where are you?
Dude, he would absolutely know right off the bat, but I'm pretty sure he played for Purdue. Do not quote me on that whatsoever. But Bryson Hopkins was somebody that I had circled as a potential option here. Again, I just wanted to double check some of the inactives. We've got 30 minutes here to go. So I don't feel so bad. Yeah, Bryson Hopkins, I think, is active. We don't have him projected for anything. We have a 0 next to his name right now. So maybe I'm assuming that he didn't end up being one of the active guys. We're just talking from the Rams side, correct? We're not talking Chicago
Correct.
At all?
Just the Rams. And I think Johnny Munt. Okay.
So, I mean, Higbee is your obvious kind of guy that could get some work here. Hawkinson was never really a thing with Matthew Stafford. And, Hawkinson, I wish I had more of him today. That would have made my life
Ben
fantastic.
Rossa gave the 4.5 it said smash that over. What did he have? 8 receptions today? That was a good one. Yeah, Johnny Munt is the other backup tight end here for the Rams.
All right, yeah, drop kick me in the face that, Ben Ross ends up being on the better side of that than me. He knows things, and we should probably just be trusting him going forward. But I have no problem in going to some Tyler Higbee here. I mean, Jacob Harris was another guy that was circled here, but I just don't think we're going to get enough work out of any of them here. If I'm going to go down to this $200 range, I think we've got one guy that we'll talk about a little bit later, and I'll try to make him a little bit of a thing. It doesn't feel very comfortable to me whatsoever. Van Jefferson being under $1,000 kind of opens up a lot of stuff, I think, for the Rams as well. We don't have to try to take as many shots with this tight end position, but it might just be Higbee or nothing else out of this Rams side. I think that's probably the right way to look at it now.
All right. We are going to mention the Rams defense here. I think they're adequate. We're paying for them. It's sort of you're going to need a splash play. Hat tip to Pete Overzet and our buddy Chris Spags for them to be viable in this one. Let's shift gears just a little bit here. Let's talk. If you're ready to go over and mention a few prize picks things. So I'm going to cover a few things for our loyal listeners here as you look at some of the prize picks stuff that you've taken notes on here. Mm-hmm. So Prize Picks is the sponsor of our show. They're offering daily prop-based contests. They want to help you get started with a deposit bonus. Use the promo code Awesemo. They will match you up to your first $100. I've already done it. That was a lot of fun. Boom, $100 helps to cushion my $200 loss I'm looking at right now here for the NFL. But hey, we've got prime time. We've got showdown. We've got showdown tomorrow. I got plenty. in the hopper here. This is just fine by me. You won't be dealing with sharks, optimizers, mass multi-entry. You just get started there. Pick 2, 3, 4, or 5 of the players / questions. You can do them across any sport that they have there. And when I say any sport, they literally have any and probably every sport. For a while, they had Highlight on there. They have WNBA. They've got tennis. They've got all sorts of stuff there. They've got all the ones you've heard about and a lot that you haven't heard about. You can mix and match, do whatever you want. So they do 2 different things here. They either do it based on fantasy points, and you can pick solo players. Hey, it's FanDuel scoring, so use our projections there, and you can figure out what you need to do on Prize Picks. And then on the other side, they have regular prop bets for the statistics. Sometimes they'll do combination ones. They'll do rebounds, points, and assists for basketball, etc. But you can make cards to your heart's content, cross over all of those different sports, and it's going to be a lot of fun. They have just launched the same game contest. They launched that today. So if you have not updated your app, update your app today, and that you'll get the I don't know, it's not the next iteration that will have that capability for you. But if you haven't downloaded the app recently, it's not going to have it. But you can check that out there as you will. It's a lot of fun. We put out a card earlier today. We got 4 out of 5 there for producer Jordan. Somehow it was Ridley who didn't get the 100 yards, or he needed to get 87 yards. Awesemo had him projected for 100. He didn't quite get there. He had 51. But I offered up the below 7.5 receptions for DeAndre Hopkins. What was he? 6 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. Great fantasy day, but he was not over 7.5 receptions. We want the over for Dalvin Cook. Got there like in the second quarter with 3 receptions there. And then we had passing yards for Jalen Hurts, who got there, and first half rushing yards for Jalen Hurts as well. A lot of fun there. What do you have that pops for you tonight on Prize Picks? That's at prizepicks.com.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of going through a little bit of what we have for some of our projections, along with some of my stuff that I've got. Obviously, I'm a little bit higher on Sony Michel than what everybody else is, but I do like that our projections match up with me. 47.19 rushing yards for Sony Michel on Prize Picks, 32.5. I think that's a large enough discrepancy to be going to Sony Michel. Everybody kind of thinks that, Darrell Henderson's going to be RB1, and I don't really think that that's going to be the case. I think it's about a 50-50 split, and that's just kind of my conservative assumption. I think it's going to be more Sony Michel than what people are thinking, so I'm happier to be a little bit higher on him. I think because Darrell Henderson, 52.5, that's kind of sitting for him too. You could maybe go more on both of them, but I'm just willing to go more on Sony Michel, probably staying away a little bit more on Darrell Henderson. And then David Montgomery sitting at 53.5. I mean, I got to think that even with Damian Williams' presence there, that David Montgomery is going to be more of the RB1 there. 75-80% of snaps. David Montgomery, 61.86 rushing yards, even against this Rams defense. there's no Brandon Staley there anymore. Brandon Staley's now with the Chargers. They played fantastic today up against the Washington football team. Brandon Staley was the defensive coordinator there. I think that is going to be a big loss for them long term. I think the Rams defense is still obviously very stout, and Aaron Donald, oh my God, like the guy's ridiculous. I'm not going to say anything about him, but I do probably feel like you can get more done against the Rams than what you could in years past. So I'm happy to go more on 53.5 for the rushing yards for David Montgomery as well. So we'll kind of start with those two.
All right. Oh, look at that. Chris Spags is in there. I say the magic word splash play 3 times, and Chris Spags appears. Check out his podcast there. It's a lot of fun. He has a whole bunch of life-changing stuff here. He's moving across the country. I believe there will be a new addition to his family. That means there's probably going to be putting a ring on it somewhere. And he's got a new job as a VP of content.
New addition. Is he having a baby? Are we breaking that news right now? I believe
there will be an heir to the Chris Spagnuolo throne. We shall see.
What?
We shall see. You've been away about as long as I have. I had to hear it on a podcast. That wasn't even one of our podcasts. Again, Splash Play. Check it out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, my dude. Okay. Well, there's that. Mazel tov. Hey, let's go.
I had one hot minute there with him in the crossover. I'm like, hey,
Papa
congratulations
Spags.
on like
I gotta say, is he gonna? I mean, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm overwhelmed. That's fantastic. Good stuff.
He's on fire. All right. So back to PrizePicks. So you and Sony Michel are best buddies at the moment?
Oh my God. It's disturbing how much Sony Michel I have right now. It's disturbing.
Say the number.
I mean, on DK, 58%.
Ooh.
I mean, that includes captain. So let's see. I'm going to throw it in because I mean, that was showing up on the DK screen. 17% the captain. So, I mean, that's well over his number at captain. I believe, what was he at? 3%? Yeah, 3% captain. And so, I mean, I'm 6X.
Right. I am duly impressed. I'm not impressed that we're not yet at 250 likes because I won 1/3 of my head-to-heads today. I'm ready to give you guys 10 $1 head-to-heads in here. If you guys scoop them up quick, I'll put in another 10. Fair warning, even though I got my ass kicked today, I kicked some ass on Thursday. So, Melissa, bring it. Bring it. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. What else you got for our loyal viewers besides Sony Michel? We have 22 minutes.
Okay, well, let's start going down the line. So again, Brashad Perriman is inactive, so do not play him. I got to think Marquise Goodwin. If you're trying to get really, really off the board, Marquise Goodwin, we saw him in San Francisco. He was a guy who was trying to be on the Olympic team once upon a time as a sprinter, and he's fast as all hell. And you could see in the same way Deshaun Jackson could be somebody you take some shots on. On the other side of it, Marquise Goodwin is somebody to take some shots on, could possibly get a bomb or two. I'm more inclined to try Deshaun Jackson than Marquise Goodwin, especially now that Darnell Mooney is in. But if you wanted to really take that off the reservation dart, you could do it. I'm probably going to go to more Van Jefferson at $800. I just think that kind of makes a little bit more sense than both of them. I think it's a little bit more consistent. You're not asking for lightning in a bottle, but if you play the slate out 100 times, I got to expect one of those two, be a Goodwin or Deshaun Jackson, to get a long bomb. And you're looking at that paying off pretty heftily. So I don't have a huge problem going to it. I'm just opting to go more Van Jefferson, $800, leaving some more money on the table. I think he's a better play than both of them. So I'm going to be opting more that direction.
All right. Ghetto Farmer Boy says, are you guys playing two running backs from the same team in any of your lineups? I have no issues with that, be it for the game tonight or the game tomorrow. Just let the projections help you out. Sometimes if you think it's truly going to be a split backfield, you, as Eric has been talking about Sony Michel, you can plant your flag, pivot in the other direction, get some serious leverage on these small games. But as we've learned, the more the backfields are split, there's so much variance within any one game with regards to what happens. It's hard to make rules on these to avoid running backs unless you say, oh, I want no more than two of this group of people, or I want, if I'm doing it, like I wouldn't want two non-pass catchers, which is what I'm going to call the Rams, with Stafford. I would accept one. I wouldn't hate it if I was building out some sort of onslaught or something. I wouldn't necessarily set a rule against it, but I seriously doubt it would happen if I hand build anything. And I did just drop $1 head-to-heads out there for you crazies in DraftKings. The username is EMac. Yes, no numbers. It's actually EMac because I've been around long enough playing there that I got my actual name or nickname in this case. What else do you have for PrizePicks? And we can talk about some of our other formats and answer some questions here.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm kind of going through a couple of the other ones. Receiving yards, everybody kind of is looking at Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. And I've had like 8 people ask me, who are you playing between Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods? If I knew the answer to that, I would be on an island. You would never hear from me
with again. Oprah and Gail.
You're with Oprah and Gail, and we would just be kicking it. We would be interviewing the Prince and the Mrs. Meghan Markle. We would be doing those live interviews for NBC. We'd be making millions, and you just never hear from me again. Some of you might enjoy that. So there's whatever. But Allen Robinson, 63.5, I think that's too low of a number, even up against a Rams secondary that is obviously formidable. You're not going to hear me try to bash anything about this defense. And I do expect a little bit of regression from last season and not having Brandon Staley. I think that is a big absence for them. But Jalen Ramsey was still back up to par, 9th out of 121 cornerbacks on PFF last year. And Darius Williams, it's number 4 out of 121 qualified cornerbacks. And that's a large number for him as well. You obviously have Aaron Darnold, who's the best defensive player on earth. There's no question there. You have another defensive interior guy in Sebastian Joseph Day. I do like this defense quite a bit, but all of that being said, there are some ways to still kind of get on top of some of these numbers. And so Allen Robinson, just he's a mismatch in any spot that he gets to. So even against some of these cornerbacks, even up against one Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams, I do like going over on Allen Robinson's number. So playing him along with Sony Michel is probably my favorite combination on PrizePicks, both overs.
All right. Let's give a little mention over here to Yahoo as well. We have 2 different free articles on the Awesemo homepage breaking down Yahoo. They have made their foray into single game contest. Thursday night was their first one, but this is something that they are going to do going forward. They've done it in MLB, they've done it in NBA. So this was something that was in development, but this is the first we're seeing of it. So their pricing over there is unique. They have what they call the superstar. It's 1.5 times the points, and then their half point PPR, and then the rest of it is just kind of as is their normal scoring. No position requirements. You play 5 players there, but it is a nice way to get things going. We also have some very, very nice promos that we are doing with them as well. We'll talk about those in just a minute here. But what is popping out for you on the Yahoo front? I'm going to drop 2 links into the YouTube chat here. One is Jeff Ulrich did an article, and then I did an article as well. And I don't think we wrote up the exact same players, but you can check out what we've done there to sort of get yourself started here, because the question is, what $10 player are you going to play on Yahoo?
That's literally what we were talking about, but before the show was playing over here on Yahoo. It does become a question of just who's that last guy in. Do you want to make it a Marquise Goodwin, who we've talked about? Do you want to play one of these other dudes who can be a wide receiver? Cole Kmet is down there at $10, I believe, as well. And so trying to piece together who it is that we're looking at. Hang on. Did Laffy just go into our Slack and say, looks like we're projecting Cohen to play? We should not be projecting Cohen to play. Cohen is not playing today, correct?
Correct. He is on the, I don't know if he's on the pup or the injured list. I think he can come back before 6 games, but he's out for sure.
Okay. That just popped up on Slack chat. So I wanted to double check that in the moment to make sure there wasn't anything crazy I missed in the last 11 minutes where, like, from the rafters, he came down and decided that, I'm going to play football today. That's not going to happen. He is definitely on the pup. So do not be clicking his name whatsoever. Tariq Cohen is not active. Let's see. Where were we even talking about? Oh, yeah. Which $10 player we want to play over on Yahoo today. And I think that there are, let me just kind of pull up what I have here. So we got down to this $10 range, and Cole Kmet is kind of your top guy at $10. Jimmy Graham. So you've got another guy there, both 33-year-old tight ends that exist here. Jimmy Graham was a little dusty towards the end of last year. We all saw it. It was kind of an issue, but Cole Kmet and him, Jimmy Graham, 35 now, I suppose. We had 87% of the snaps for Cole Kmet, 45% for Jimmy Graham in the last 7 weeks of that season. But if Jimmy Graham gets an entire offseason that exists there, Jimmy Graham becomes a guy that I'm willing to get to a little bit more than the field, just because you kind of like ride him in a way that like you ride the bike till the tires come off, or you basically say, you know what, he had an entire offseason. We'll see what we can get out of him right from the get-go. So up against Cole Kmet there, Jimmy Graham is kind of an interesting guy on the Yahoo slate. Van Jefferson is down there at $10 as well. Demir Bird is at $10. All of those guys are kind of fascinating, but it's really kind of figuring out what you're going to do with that. I don't think there's enough disparity for me to get away from Matthew Stafford. Yahoo does such a good job of pricing. They're probably the sharpest priced site that you have around the industry, every single slate for MLB. I know you write a ton of articles for them, and I bet you feel the same way for the NFL stuff as well. Matthew Stafford, Andy Dalton being $1 apart there. Matthew Stafford, it's really hard to get away from playing him there. If you want to get different, play Andy Dalton in your superstar. Play Allen Robinson in that build. Try to put Sony Michel on the other side. He's $18. He's priced up. He's actually more expensive than Allen Robinson is on the Yahoo slate. I find that to be fascinating. So there's some real interesting salary builds, but it really comes down to which quarterback I prefer. I prefer Stafford if you're playing cash, Andy Dalton if you're playing those big tournaments, and then figuring out which $10 guy you like the most. Or for me, Darnell Mooney at $12, a really fascinating play considering he was kind of a late ad.
All right. Gift to you guys. You scooped up all my head-to-heads. I'm going to put another 10 out there. Let's get up to 300 likes. We're just shy of 1,000 viewers. This is pretty cool for our first Sunday night effort here. Of course, we had over 8.5 hours live today covering sports. The vast majority, all of it was for NFL. At one point, we were streaming simultaneously on 2 different YouTube channels. Follow the Awesemo YouTube channel. You're already here. Follow Awesemo Fantasy, or the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel is what we're calling that. And then the Awesemo Odds channel. Check that out. We've got you guys covered everywhere. We're starting it off all over again tomorrow. We're going to have the NFL Week 1 Rewind show. We're going to have early morning show with Laffy. I think it's Matt Kajeski. And then I believe Alex Brown is coming back. The trio's getting back together. Who better to give you insight to DFS than someone who actually played the game? Nice one. I got to ask a question about Beast Mode. He was part of Beastquake. Mr. Brown was he was on the field for the play. Mm-hmm. He got a little stiff armage there. I got to ask him about over and over. Yeah, love that play. Shout out to the Seahawks. So all right. So we've got 12 minutes to go here. Let's take some questions. YouTube chat tag or premium Slack chat tag myself and Eric. Is there, throw out some pontificate. We'll see what's coming up here. I'm going to make my lineups real quick here for Showdown. I got everything else in. That Fantasy Cruncher workaround worked phenomenally. So that was a very nice thing there for me. And for those of you pinging me, it's I'm going to create the lineups right now. It's username EMac in the Yahoo $1 head-to-heads. Come and get your love, as Redbone sang. Come and get your love. It's a good song. Hey, what's the matter with you? There we go. Tutu and Montgomery, or Mooney and Gay. I'm going to go with the second one there.
I don't know. I just got completely thrown up by you singing. Can you say the 2 again? That'd be great. You psychopath.
Mooney and Gay, or Tutu and Montgomery, I believe is what they were.
I'll probably go to the first one. Okay.
And let me see here. Just one? That's it? Now the avalanche happens. As soon as I ask for that, I'm going to have to go to another screen here. Who is your favorite punt option on FanDuel?
On FanDuel, under 10K, Sony Michel, he's 9,500. Working our way down here a little bit further, looking at some of our projections as well. If you're trying to get off the board, Van Jefferson, 7,500. Cole Kmet is 7,500. He's probably your best option down there as well. Damian Williams, if you're not going to be playing David Montgomery in any kind of event, I think I'm okay with that too. Cairo Santos is down there as kicker too. Throwing that.
Well, they were asking who is Tutu. That is Tutu Atwell, I believe.
Tutu Atwell, man.
I believe he's a rookie this year to counterbalance and average out the age of 34-year-old Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Just throwing out useless knowledge because, hey, There we are. Would you play Henderson?
He was 57th pick this year. So, they obviously saw something in him. He was a second round pick.
Would you play Henderson and Michelle in the same lineup? That is from Melissa, who is trying to figure out if she's going to kick my ass yet again tonight in our head-to-head challenge.
Don't play it in cash. But in the event that you were trying to win a tournament where a zillion people are playing together and you're leaving a little bit of money on the table, it's not zeroed out. I don't have a problem playing them together and hoping that you just have a brutally slow game.
Thoughts on Cole Kmet?
Cole Kmet's a great play. Cole Kmet, I think, is the preferred tight end there. But again, I'm just throwing it out there. I have more Jimmy Graham just in the event that Jimmy Graham gets an entire offseason and then ends up being somewhat competent in this spot. That's just kind of my feel of the entire situation, is that Jimmy Graham might get more work than what we're projecting him for. And Cole Kmet is definitely the more popular by a landslide. So you're getting, I guess you're only getting like 7% discount there, but Jimmy Graham coming off an entire offseason, $600 more. If you want to get off of something that's like zeroed out with Cole Kmet, just leave money on the table and go to Jimmy Graham. That's a quick way to get different.
Rams onslaught. Would you go with Montgomery or would you go with Robinson as your run back?
I'd rather have Robinson for sure.
Let's see. What is your preference between Woods and Cup on FanDuel? $1,000 cheaper there for.
God, I wish I knew. I'm going to go more Cup today. So this is just kind of a gut feel that I have for it, and trying to see what we're looking at here for Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford, we know the rapport he had with Amendola, but he also had rapport with Kenny Golladay. I don't really know what we're trying to pull out of it. I think that it just becomes a little bit of what is the field going to do? And I think the field, it looks like is very balanced between the two. It's like a percentage point away. I don't think anybody really knows what to do with it. So for me, my gut tells me that I'm going to go more Cooper Kupp, and that's just kind of the way that I'm rolling on this slate.
All right. EMac, are you going to play David Montgomery in captain on DK like he is in your article? Maybe.
Who's your captain?
Probably.
Cash? Who's your captain cash? How is it not Matt Stafford?
It's Montgomery.
What?
Stafford does not have the rushing upside. It's a Rams onslaught pretty much after that in the flex spots. But yeah, there we go. Well, I've still got them out there. If you haven't played your million yet, you can jump in on the action too, my friend. We can do a little side bet. Your head-to-head versus my head-to-head. I'm
good. I'm going to just keep living my life. That's okay. We're friends. I want to stay friends. I don't want to exchange our rake back and forth for the next, I don't know, however many of these showdowns we're doing together.
Yeah, well, that I found that out. I thought Melissa was my friend. She's not. She's ruthless. She just kicks my ass.
It's not very nice.
No, it's not. It's hard feelings. I have soft feelings and then hard feelings. It's not fun. It's mean. She hurts. I broke my feelings. Let's see here. 7 minutes to go. If you were choosing between the kickers, always take the home field kicker, right?
Matt Gay. Yeah.
All right. I need to take a moment here and upload my lineups. Would you like to pontificate for?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me look here in the old chat here. Somebody just said Rams D. Rams, Cup or Woods. Wow. Like, way to go, everybody. These are the hard-hitting questions. Or it's just statements. People are making statements here. Who does number 2 work for? Who does number 2 work for? Yeah, I got you. You show that turd who's boss. There's that. Mooney or Rams D. I would rather go to Mooney. Again, Rams D, we saw last year, just defenses on the whole went really, really underutilized. And then every team went off. It just seemed like a really strange year. I would like to get to more defenses on other slates. I just think here I want to get away from it. Somebody just asked me, how much Higbee do you have? Let me tell you exactly how much Higbee I have. I have 19%, so I'm a little bit underneath the field on that. Pretty negligible. Again, that's all in the flex. In the captain spot, I don't think I'm getting to anything noticeable. 3%. So I'm tiny bit under the field on both spots there. I'm getting to a lot more of the Woods and Cup section, and that's kind of, keeping me away from more of that. How did I do? Did I stall enough for you?
That was, I'm still chasing some stuff down. Our buddy Tyler would like to know, he's leaving 5K on the table. Is that crazy?
No. So these are the kind of things you need to be thinking about and figuring out exactly how much money you're.
$5
so
super
we
chat.
dropped a $5 super chat, and we missed it however long ago. That's nice of us. Thank you so much, by the way. Somebody said leaving 5K on the table. Am I crazy? No.
I don't think you are in this one. There's when you, especially in DK, if you're looking at DeMar Bird, who is 200, and there that is it's possibility. I mean, all you have to think about is if we knew he was starting as the wide receiver 3 and going to get at least 70% of the routes for that particular position, we'd be willing to pay $3,800 for him, no problem. Even if he's just running wind sprints. So all of a sudden, there's 2K, 3K that you're okay leaving on the table. So that's how you kind of have to look at some of these things, especially in the large field tournaments if you don't want to duplicate with others.
Mm-hmm. Somebody just said lines, and that just drove me up a wall. So there's that. Any lines with no QB? Sam Cassell Dance. Oh, is in the premium Slack. I won't give him shit because he's good people.
I will. What's a line?
I don't know what a line is. I mean, is
I know
this
what line
the 70s? Are we
is.
in Miami? I don't know what to say, but I definitely think that not playing one QB on this slate seems a little insane. Not at least one QB. You should have at least one QB, I think, in just about every single lineup.
All right, lineups are uploaded for me. We got 3 minutes to go there. Shout out there again to PrizePicks. Check them out. You can utilize the promo code Awesemo. They'll match you up to your first $100. Check that out. Also, hit us up on Slack or Twitter. If you sign up through our link on Yahoo, make a deposit. We're working with them to get your username. We will get you 2 free months of Awesemo Premium All Access. Holy cow! That's like a $200 value. You're going to get NBA. Start of the season, you're going to get MLB playoffs, and you're going to get 8 weeks of Awesemo NFL content. That's just amazing. Oh yeah. Plus we've been running, I think the kids call it a print fest in college football.
That's good. Those are good things.
Right,
we
sorry.
just had a bunch of super chats that came in there.
Oh, did we? Dalton with Komet or Montgomery with Dalton, Komet, Montgomery, Santos.
Yeah. Let's see. Dalton with Komet or Montgomery Santos. I'm probably going to go Dalton with Komet. I like getting to the quarterbacks here in this spot. And Komet, good play. Again, Jimmy Graham is definitely more off the board here. And then somebody also gave us a super chat. FanDuel Cash Optimal. Matt Stafford is definitely in your MVP. Like 16K. Pretty easy to fit him in over on FanDuel here. I'm looking at mine right now. It's got,
if you're not going to do Stafford,
it's got Allen Robinson. It's got Andy Dalton. So we've got 2 minutes here, and you should have all 4 of those guys in. I won't
Sam
tell
wants
you
more because I talked. Sam wants more because I talked over you.
Matthew Stafford in the MVP, Allen Robinson, Andy Dalton, Cooper Kupp, and then I'll let you fill in the blank on the last player.
We don't like to give out full lines.
We don't. It's bad. You full lines. Yeah, whatever that is.
Can you see me? Do you see I have a Flamingo cup for Miami Vice for the lines?
Oh my God.
And what does it say on the other side? EMac.
Oh my God. Did you get that embroidered for a marathon that you ran with your wife?
Sort of. She made it for me for my birthday.
I got pretty close. I mean, honestly, that was.
She has one of those Cricut printers. We have like 50 different colors of vinyl. She makes all sorts of T-shirts, cups, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So there we go.
All right, we got 1 minute. Well, I mean, we're not going to be able to help anybody else here any further. That was a blast. I had an absolute blast here. I feel good about the work we did here. If Sony Michel doesn't do anything today, I'll probably just not come to work tomorrow. That'll be fun. But otherwise, it's been a good day.
Hey, you absolutely crushed it. So shout out to you. My content was solid. I didn't quite have everything where I wanted it, but I only lost about 15%. I'm completely fine with that. This is live to fight another day. That we've got countless slates. This was just the first one. I'm mostly focused on one site. I did one lineup on Yahoo. I did one lineup on FanDuel, and the rest of it was DK. And I played every slate. I played literally every showdown contest, every tiers contest, which is also, by the way, now part of the Awesemo offerings. We have tier ownership for DK. Darn you, Alex. That was one of my better. The tiers contests are something people don't understand how to play. That is something we talk about in the DFS 101 channel. If you're a member of Awesemo, we have that where it's a nice safe space for learning and asking silly questions, and we will save you time. If I can keep you from stepping in the many bear traps that I have stepped in as I'm entering year 10 of DFS, I will do so. It was expensive lessons. Let's get you guys ramped up. The fish are not really fish anymore because, hey, DFS has been around for 10 years. Content providers have been around for about 9.5. So
that's why I'm grinding 3-mans and 5-mans, playing Tyler Lockett in them, because that's about the only edge I can find in the world right now.
Let's just say I played 5 $1 head-to-heads on the Green Bay game. 4 people did not have Kamara in their lineup.
It's not ideal.
Not just not captain, not in their lineup.
I mean, Kamara should have gone even further than what he did. That would have been really, really fun. But either way, it was a good day. I'm not going to complain.
All right. Well, with that, we are starting this all over again tomorrow morning. Let's see. It will be September 13th. It will be Monday. We have Josh coming out with the contenders for DK and FanDuel. That's going to be videos on demand. At 9 o'clock, we have the NFL Showdown strategy. It's going to be Matt Kajeski, Dave Loughran, and Alex Brown. That is AB or Alex Brown 69, I think is what he is on Twitter. Former Bears and Saints defensive lineman. So he played about 10 years in the NFL. Very sharp guy. So he plays a lot of DFS as well. So check that out. We'll get into baseball at 10 o'clock, and then we break down, 4 more NFL shows, and then NFL Live Before Lock. We have MLB Live Before Lock. We have you guys covered. Hat tip to our producers that have to deal with this. And special shout out to producer Chris, who also puts together this massive schedule that tells us all where to be and what we're going to be doing. With that, you can follow Eric Lindquist on Twitter at
Eric Lindquist.
And I am at EMac DFS. Shout out to producer Tyler. Go to Awesemo_COM. With that, gamers, use the promo code DAC. I forgot that. Get the $1 NFL Express. We get the NFL Express weekly package for $1. That's going to expire tomorrow. Promo code DAC. With that, gamers, good luck.
Wallow life, Tyler.